A teenager with no immune system leaves home in a bubble for the girl of his dreams. Jimmy Livingston is a child born without an immune system. When he turns 4 years old, he is brought home, and he is forced to live in a sterile plastic bubble. His mother treats him like a prince and won't let anyone near him. His family prepared the room with a giant bubble inside, where he will live for the rest of his life. Inside the bubble, Jimmy has everything he needs. In order to hug and touch him, the bubble has a pair of protruded hands. His mother is always telling him stories that end badly to keep him from leaving the bubble. So Jimmy continues to grow in the bubble, while his mother takes care of everything, from his education all the way to entertainment. Jimmy only eats food prepared by his mother. He most often eats fat-free, gluten-free, and soy-rich cookies. Not being used to the outside world, when the neighborhood kids teased him for living in the bubble, he felt like they wanted to play with him. When he turned 16, his parents brought him an electric guitar, and Jimmy started rocking it. Jimmy had everything he could want, until Chloe, the girl next door, arrived. He felt attracted to her from the first moment. Over the next few days, Jimmy watched the window more and more often. He kept looking at Chloe, but he still didn't know anything about love. He used to dream about her, and as a result, he got an erection and hit himself with the baseball bat. He began screaming and calling for his mother. Mrs. Livingston comes in and makes him repeat the Pledge of Allegiance until he cools down. One day, when Chloe's friends brought her home, they made fun of Jimmy, but she stood up for him. She decided to meet him and knocked on the door. Jimmy's father let her in without a word. Chloe noticed the large plastic tube and followed it upstairs. Jimmy was playing, and after he saw Chloe, he got excited, as he had never spoken to a girl before except for his mother. The two discovered they had mutual interest and hit it off immediately. Before Chloe left, Jimmy promised to teach her how to play the guitar. Jimmy's mother doesn't like this girl, but lets her visit him anyway. The next day, Jimmy taught her how to play her first chords. In the process, Jimmy got an erection and began repeating the Pledge of Allegiance. Jimmy and Chloe begin to spend more and more time together. For Jimmy's birthday, Chloe gives him a guinea pig inside a bubble. One night, after Chloe's birthday party, she snuck into Jimmy's room through the window. She was slightly drunk and wanted to get into the bubble to be with him. Jimmy, frightened, didn't let her in, and Chloe fell asleep in the tube. In the next scene, Chloe introduced Mark to Jimmy before the prom night. For the first time, Jimmy felt jealous. He would have loved to take Chloe to the prom. One night, Jimmy saw outside the window how Mark and Chloe were kissing passionately. Jimmy is devastated. He wishes he could get out of the bubble. The next day, Chloe told Jimmy that Mark proposed to her. The wedding will take place over the weekend in Niagara Falls. Jimmy is upset, trying to ignore her while she is talking to him. Chloe had brought him a present, but Jimmy ignored it and gave her back the guinea pig. After that, he returned to play, hiding that he was disappointed. Later, Jimmy decides to open the gift and finds a globe with the words, "I love you" inside it. At this point, Jimmy decides to go to Niagara Falls to stop the wedding and tell Chloe what he felt for her. So, Jimmy built himself a bubble suit. He walked out of his room and fell down the stairs. In the process, his father heard him, but instead of stopping him, he smiled proudly. Once outside, Jimmy is enchanted by the outside world, and so begins his long journey to Niagara Falls. He approaches a bus station to ask for a ticket to Niagara Falls, but learns that it costs $260. Having no money, he sadly walks away. Stopping on the road, he is knocked down by a bus, but thanks to his suit, he manages to survive. The bus turned around, and the group checked to see if Jimmy was alive. Jimmy said he needed to go to Niagara Falls, and the group offered to help him. Inside the bus, Jimmy learns that the group was part of a religious cult and joked about it. After that, he is thrown into the middle of the desert. The cult group catches up with their leader and learns of a man inside a globe who would be the savior sent by God. They realize that Jimmy was their savior and set out to find him to get him out of the globe. After a long walk in the desert, Jimmy met a biker named Slim. He had a problem with his tire, and Jimmy helped him. Jimmy told him about Chloe, and Slim decided to take him all the way to Niagara Falls. In his youth, Slim's girlfriend had left him for another man, and he knows how that feels. Jimmy and Slim stopped in Las Vegas for a break. Slim taught Jimmy how to play at the casino, and the two had a blast. However, Jimmy doesn't stay long, as he only has 2 days left until Chloe's wedding. So, he steals an electric scooter and drives away. Slim realizes that he has lost Jimmy, and outside the casino, he meets the group that threw him into the desert. He threatened them with a knife, and the bus destroyed his bike. Meanwhile, Jimmy's parents were desperately searching for him, until they recognized him inside his suit. The mother turned the steering wheel completely, and Jimmy crashed against them, bouncing into a train. Inside the train, Jimmy meets several fellows with different abnormalities. They advise Jimmy to be quiet, or the scary Dr. Freak will hear them. Suddenly, the train stopped, and Jimmy met Dr. Freak, who was a little dwarf. Dr. Freak forces him to be part of his show, but Jimmy accidentally throws him to the ground with his bubble and frees the others. Jimmy continued his journey and entered a bar to ask for a ride to Niagara Falls. In the bar, some individuals were making fun of an Indian man, Push Pop, for eating tofu, and Jimmy stood up for him. They asked him why he was inside a bubble, and Jimmy said he was without immunity. Suddenly, everyone thought it was a contagious disease and left the bar. In the midst of the chaos, the bar catches fire, and Push Pop offers Jimmy a ride. Returning to the train, Mrs. Livingston catches up with Dr. Freak, who tells her that Jimmy is headed for Niagara Falls. The woman calls Chloe, blaming her for everything. In the meantime, the Freak stole the Livingston family's car and left for Niagara Falls. During the trip, Push Pop accidentally hits a cow. Push Pop is terrified because, in his religion, cows are sacred. Jimmy, remembering his mother's words, tells him that his religion is false. Push Pop is offended and lets him go, wishing Jimmy good luck. Dr. Freak, along with Jimmy's parents, steal a car and leave for Niagara Falls as well. Walking the whole night, Jimmy manages to reach a town on foot. Soon after, he meets a taxi driver who could take him to Niagara Falls for $500. Fortunately, right behind him was a club offering a $500 prize. Jimmy has to fight inside a tub full of mud against two girls in bikinis. He manages to win thanks to his suit and gets the $500. Outside the club, Jimmy meets the group that wanted to pull him out of the bubble. He also meets the freaks who wanted to save him from the religious group. After that, Slim, along with his new gang, also arrived, and a fight started. Jimmy manages to escape, get into the cab, and leave for Niagara Falls. The taxi driver, Pappy, told him about how his Chinese wife left him for his twin brother. The next morning, Jimmy wakes up and notices that Pappy was sleeping with his eyes wide open. Pappy suddenly braked and spun back as Jimmy flew into a scoreboard. He walked into a bar and called Chloe, but Mark took the phone and answered. Mark told him they were getting married in an hour and hung up. Disappointed, Jimmy spoke to his mother on the phone and asked her to come to pick him up. After tasting the beer for the first time, his parents arrived. His mother went to the washroom, and Jimmy began talking to his father. Mr. Livingston motivated him not to give up, and so Jimmy continued on his journey. At the same time, the cult group found Jimmy and followed him. Slim, with his crew, comes to rescue him. Slim stares at Mrs. Livingston. It turns out that she used to be his girlfriend. Everyone is driving down the runway of a plane. A plane takes off, and Jimmy climbs aboard with an old pilot. Jimmy learns that the pilot was Pippi, Pappy's twin brother. Flying over Niagara Falls, the plane crashes, causing Jimmy to fall into the water. Luckily, his bubble doesn't let him drown. Somehow, he manages to get out of the water and rushes off to the wedding. Chloe and Mark are in the chapel, and shortly after, Jimmy enters the church and claims his love for her. Realizing that this is his last chance to be with Chloe, he puts his life in danger and exits the bubble to kiss her. However, soon after, he falls to the ground. As Chloe tries to wake him up, Jimmy's parents arrive there as well. Mrs. Livingston mourns the death of her son. When Mr. Livingston asks her to tell everyone the truth, the woman embarrassedly reveals that Jimmy had developed the immune system at age 4, after which Jimmy suddenly wakes up. It turns out that she had been lying to him to keep him away from the evils of the world all these years. In the end, Jimmy hugs Chloe as everyone applauds. A few months later, Chloe and Jimmy are getting married. Everyone he met on his trip is at the wedding. Mr. and Mrs. Livingston, together with Slim, have successfully formed a relationship. The movie ends when we see Jimmy and Chloe drive off on their honeymoon. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then find out how a simple father turns into a monster after wearing a clown costume.